Frustration. That's a pretty common feeling when the lights flicker out, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
And it feels like it's happening more often now. Major weather-related outages in the U.S. Well, they've doubled in the last decade compared to the one before.
Doubled. Wow.
Yeah. And you know the drill, right? That scramble for a flashlight, worrying about the food spoiling, or maybe more seriously, medical devices. It really shows how much we rely on the grid. But what if your house could just ride through those outages, switch over to its own power, nice and smooth?
That's the idea behind home batteries. Peace of mind, really.
Exactly. Welcome, everyone, to Solar Scoop. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really popular option, the ENPHASE IQ battery system.
A big name in the space.
For sure. Our mission today, we want to explore how this system works. It's known for being flexible, figure out what it can actually do about those outage worries, and yeah, talk about the investment involved.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
All right. So the ENPHASE system, it's not just one thing, is it?
No, not at all. You really have to think of it as an ecosystem. The heart of it is the IQ battery. Okay.
Yeah.
The newest one is the 5P. That's a 5 kilowatt hour unit.
5 kilowatt hours.
Got it. But yeah, it needs other pieces to work. You've usually got the IQ system controller. Think of that as the brain, the smart switch that handles the backup power when the grid goes down.
Okay, the controller manages the outage switchover.
Precisely.
Right.
And then there's the IQ gateway. That's the communication piece. It connects everything up and importantly connects to the ENPHASE app so you can see what's going on.
So monitoring and control through an app.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned flexibility. I hear two main ideas come up a lot with ENPHASE, modularity and AC coupling. Let's start with modularity.
Right. Modularity is, well, think of it like energy Legos. That's a good analogy someone used.
Oh, I like that. Energy Legos.
Yeah. You can start with one 5 kilowatt battery, the 5P, see how it goes. Then maybe, you get an electric car or add an AC unit. Your energy needs grow. You can just add another 5P unit or another. It scales up pretty easily with your needs.
Okay, that makes sense. Start small, grow later. What about AC coupling? That sounds a bit more technical.
It does, but the concept's pretty important. Okay, so most solar panels, they produce DC power.
Right, direct current.
ENPHASE solar systems, though, they use microinverters, little inverters on each panel that change that DC to AC, alternating current right there on your roof.
Okay, AC power coming down from the roof.
Exactly. Now, here's the interesting part. The ENPHASE IQ batteries, like the 5P, they also have microinverters built right into them. The 5P actually has 6 inside.
6 microinverters in the battery.
Yep. And what that means is the battery connects directly to your home's AC electrical panel, just like another circuit from your solar might.
Ah, I see. So it's speaking the same AC language as the house and the solar microinverters.
Yes, you got it. And that's the core of AC coupling.
So why is that such a big deal? What's the advantage of doing it that way?
Well, the biggest advantage is probably compatibility. Because it works on the AC side, you can usually add an ENPHASE battery to almost any existing solar system.
Oh, interesting. Even if the original solar panels aren't ENPHASE or use a different kind of inverter.
Yeah, generally, yes. It makes adding storage later on, retrofitting much simpler than some other approaches.
Okay, that's a big plus for homeowners who already have solar.
Definitely. And there's another potential benefit, redundancy. Because you have multiple microinverters inside each battery.
Those 6 you mentioned in the 5P.
Right. Instead of relying on one single large battery inverter, if one of those small microinverters were to have an issue, the others can keep working. It reduces the risk of a single point of failure bringing down the whole battery.
That makes sense from a reliability standpoint. So can you walk us through the power flow, like sun shining, what happens, grid goes down, what happens?
Sure. Okay, so sunny day. Your ENPHASE microinverters on the roof are making AC power. First, that power runs your house lights, fridge, whatever's on.
Okay, direct use first.
Yep. If you're making more AC power than you're using right then, the extra flows to the IQ battery.
To the battery's AC connection.
Exactly. Then inside the battery, those built-in microinverters actually convert that AC back to DC power to store it safely in the battery cells.
Ah, okay. AC to DC for storage.
Right. Then, let's say the sun goes down or, the grid fails. Now you need that stored power. The process just reverses.
The battery takes over.
The battery's microinverters convert the stored DC power back into AC and send it out to your home's panel to keep things running.
Got it. So AC from solar, AC to house, excess AC to battery, converts to DC for storage, then DC back to AC when needed.
You nailed it. That's the flow.
Okay, let's zero in on that IQ battery 5P itself. What are the key performance numbers for 1 unit?
Okay, so one 5P gives you 5.0 kilowatt hours of usable energy storage. That's your capacity, how much energy it holds.
5 kilowatt usable, solid number. What about power? How much can it run at once?
Right, power output's crucial. It delivers 3.84 kilowatts of continuous power. That's what it can sustain.
3.84 kilowatts of continuous.
But it also has a peak power boost. It can surge up to 7.68 kilowatts for short bursts.
Oh, that's useful for starting up bigger appliances.
Yeah.
Like a well pump or an air conditioner.
Exactly. Those things need a bigger kick to get going. And remember the modularity. If you add a second 5P...
You double the storage to 10 kilowatts.
Yep. And you also roughly double the continuous power output to around 7.7 kilowatts. 3 units gets you 15 kilowatts of storage and over 11.5 kilowatts of continuous power.
So adding units boosts both capacity and the amount of stuff you can run simultaneously.
Correct. It scales up nicely.
What about efficiency? Getting power in and out.
It's pretty efficient. ENPHASE specs it at 90% a key round-trip efficiency.
Meaning 90% of the AC power you put in, you can get back out as AC power.
That's right. And they use LFP chemistry, lithium iron phosphate.
Which is known for being safer and lasting longer, right?
Exactly. Safer, longer lifespan. And speaking of lifespan, the warranty is a big selling point for ENPHASE. It's up to 15 years limited warranty on the IQ battery 5P.
15 years. Wow, that is longer than many competitors.
It is. It provides quite a bit of peace of mind, but, always check the official spec sheets for the latest numbers and the exact warranty details. Things can change.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Okay. Flexibility, long warranty. Sounds great.
Yeah.
But let's talk money. What kind of investment are we actually looking at here?
Yeah, the million-dollar question, or hopefully less. Cost is definitely key. ENPHASE has a bit of a unique structure, especially around enabling backup power.
How so?
Well, based on typical installer pricing, like companies such as Integrate Sun might show just getting a single IQ battery 5P installed for basic energy savings. Yeah. Things like shifting your solar use away from peak grid times. That might be around, say, $7,000.
Okay, about $7,000 for one battery for savings, but not outage backup.
Right. Now, if you want that battery to provide backup power during an outage, you need that IQ system controller we mentioned earlier.
A smart switch.
Yep. And that controller, plus its installation, is typically a one-time system cost. It's often around $11,500, give or take, and that cost is roughly the same whether you install one battery or 3. Ah, okay. So that controller cost is significant and kind of fixed for enabling backup.
Exactly. So let's run through a couple of quick scenarios to make it clear for listeners.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay. Scenario 1. One 5P battery, just for savings, no backup. You're looking at roughly $7,000 installed.
Okay.
Scenario 2, one 5P battery with backup capability. That's the $7,000 for the battery, plus the $11,500 or so for the controller and setup. So total around $18,500.
Right, big jump for adding backup with just one battery.
It is. Scenario 3, let's say you install 2 5P batteries and you want backup. Now you're looking at roughly $7,000 times 2 for the battery, so $14,000, plus that same $11,500 for the controller. Grand total around $25,500.
I see. So the cost per battery stays about the same, but that backup controller cost gets spread over more capacity as you add batteries.
Precisely. Adding more batteries increases storage, power, and the total cost, obviously. But that backup enabling fee with the controller is generally a fixed piece for the whole system setup. Those are definitely significant numbers. But the good news is there are incentives that can bring those down, right?
Absolutely. This is crucial. The big one is the Federal Residential Clean Energy Tax Credit. It's currently 30%.
And that applies to the whole system cost?
Yeah.
Batteries, controller, and installation?
Yes, the entire installed cost. It's a direct credit, so it reduces what you owe in federal taxes. It's not just a deduction.
So on that 2-battery example, the $25,500 system, 30% of that is?
Over $7,600, yeah. So that brings the net cost down considerably.
Wow, okay. That makes a huge difference.
It really does. And that's just the federal part.
Right. You often hear about state and local programs, too.
Exactly. These vary a lot depending on where you live, but they can stack on top of the federal credit. You might find direct rebates. California has SGIP, Massachusetts has SMART, for instance. Basically, cash back for installing a battery.
Okay. Direct rebates. What else?
Then there are things called grid services programs, or sometimes virtual power plants, VPPs.
VPPs, yeah. Hearing more about those.
Right. In some areas, your utility might actually pay you to let them occasionally draw power from your battery during peak demand events to help stabilize the grid. Northeast Connected Solutions is one example program family.
So you can actually earn money from the battery helping the grid?
Potentially, yes. You might also see things like SRECs, solar renewable energy certificates in some states related to your solar generation, which adds value. And another really important factor now is how net metering rules are changing.
Like NEM 3.0 in California, the net billing changes.
Exactly. In places where the utility pays you less for the extra solar power you send back to the grid, especially during peak times, well, storing that solar energy in your ENPHASE battery to use yourself later, when grid power is expensive, becomes much more valuable.
So the battery helps you maximize your own solar savings under those new rules.
Precisely. It makes the financial case for batteries stronger in those areas. The bottom line here is while that 30% federal credit is available everywhere in the U.S. right now, you absolutely need to research the specific incentives in your state and with your local utility.
Good advice. Definitely worth digging into local programs. Maybe check out the Integrate Sun channel. They often cover state specifics.
That's a good resource. Okay, we need to take a quick break.
All right. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Solar Scoop.
We're back, diving deep into the ENPHASE IQ battery system. We've covered the tech, the performance, the costs, the incentives. Now let's really zero in on the advantages. Why choose ENPHASE?
Okay, yeah. Let's recap the pros. We've hit on it a few times, but that modularity and scalability is huge.
But energy Legos.
The energy Legos, yeah. Start where you need to, expand later. That's really appealing. Then there's the AC coupled flexibility.
Making it easy to add to existing solar.
Super easy, yeah. Great for retrofits, less hassle integrating. We also mentioned the warranty up to 15 years is definitely top tier and gives confidence. Reliability is another factor. ENPHASE has a long history with microinverters. They're generally considered very reliable. And having multiple inverters per battery, that redundancy factor helps too. Plus, the company itself has a strong reputation.
And the ecosystem aspect.
Right, especially if you already have ENPHASE solar microinverters. The app integration is seamless. You get one place to see everything: panel performance, battery status, power flows. It's a very clean experience.
Okay, those are some strong points. But every system has trade-offs. What are the potential considerations or drawbacks people should think about?
Fair point. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
One thing is the initial cost per kilowatt hour, especially if you're only installing a single 5 kilowatt hour unit.
Right, because of that fixed controller cost for backup.
Partly that, and just the cost of a single smaller unit compared to, say, one large 10 or 13 kilowatt hour battery from another brand. The value proposition often looks better as you scale up with ENPHASE, adding more units.
Okay, cost per kilowatt hour might be higher initially for a small system. What else?
The power output per unit, that 3.84 kilowatt continuous from 1.5P is decent, but it's not massive. If you want true whole home backup, running lots of heavy loads simultaneously, well, you'll likely need multiple 5P units stacked together to get that higher total power output.
So you need to size it right for your power needs, which might mean buying more units.
Exactly. And lastly, it's not an all-in-one box. Unlike some systems that combine the inverter and battery, ENPHASE uses separate components. You have the batteries, you have the IQ system controller box, and you have the IQ gateway box.
So a few more pieces of hardware on the wall compared to some integrated systems.
Potentially, yeah. Just something to be aware of in terms of installation space and complexity.
Gotcha. Okay, beyond just storing and providing power, what about smart features? Does ENPHASE offer cool techie stuff?
Oh yeah, they've built in some pretty smart capabilities. StormGuard is a really nice one.
StormGuard, what's that do?
If you enable it in the app, the system actually monitors National Weather Service alerts for your zip code. If a severe storm warning is issued, it automatically tells your batteries to charge up to 100%.
Oh, that's clever. So it prepares itself for a potential outage proactively.
Exactly. It gives you maximum backup potential right when you might need it most.
I like that. What else?
Well, the ENPHASE app itself is really powerful, as we mentioned. If you have their solar too, you can see granular data like how each individual panel is doing.
Down to the panel level. Wow.
Yep. And you track all the power flows, what's coming from solar, what's going to the battery, what you're pulling from or sending to the grid. It tracks your savings, and you can customize how the battery operates.
Like telling it to prioritize self-consumption. Or use energy during off-peak times.
Exactly. Self-consumption mode, time of use optimization, setting a specific backup reserve percentage. You have a lot of control.
Any other smart hardware options?
Yes. They offer optional IQ load controllers. These let you do smart load shedding during an outage. Meaning if the grid is down and your battery starts running low, the system can automatically turn off pre-selected heavy loads like maybe your EV charger or electric dryer to preserve power for essential things like lights and your fridge.
Smart prioritization during an outage.
Right. And finally, VPP capability. Many ENPHASE systems can participate in those virtual power plant programs we talked about earlier, potentially earning you some money back from the utility.
Lots of smarts baked in there.
Oh.
Okay, so we've heard the specs, the pros, the cons. What are actual owners saying? What's the vibe online say on places like Reddit?
Yeah, we looked into that, and honestly, the sentiment online, particularly on Reddit threads discussing ENPHASE batteries, is generally very positive.
Really? What are the common themes?
Reliability comes up constantly. People seem very happy with how dependable the systems are. Customer support also gets mentioned positively quite often.
Good to hear.
We saw specific threads where someone asked about getting just one 5P for time of use savings, and the responses consistently highlighted it as a reliable choice, pointing to the safe LFP chemistry, that long warranty, the modularity, and VPP potential as key benefits. There was even a direct comparison where a user explicitly said they preferred their ENPHASE setup batteries plus microinverters over a Tesla system specifically for how it performed during outages and the control offered by the software.
Interesting comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Any other recurring positives?
Yeah, people echo the long warranty. They like the passive cooling, no fans, which can be a point of failure, and noise, the potential to integrate a generator if needed. And some users reported faster repair processes compared to experiences with other brands. The fact that components are hardwired was also seen as a positive for installation flexibility.
Sounds like a lot of happy customers.
Yeah.
Any mention of the cost?
Yes, the higher initial cost per kilowatt, especially for smaller systems, does get acknowledged. But even then, the overall emphasis tends to circle back to the reliability, the flexibility of scaling, and the strong performance, especially, as you'd expect, for people already using ENPHASE microinverters for their solar.
So overall, positive feedback emphasizing performance and reliability, even if the initial price tag is noted.
That sums it up pretty well, yeah.
All right, let's try and boil this all down. What are the key takeaways for our listeners about the ENPHASE IQ battery system?
Okay, key takeaways. 1, it's modular. Think energy Legos. You can start small and add capacity later. Very flexible. 2, AC coupling. This makes it broadly compatible, especially easy for adding to existing solar installations.
Big plus for retrosits.
Definitely. 3, performance is solid, especially with the latest 5P model, and it's backed by a really strong warranty up to 15 years.
Peace of mind there.
4, cost. You need to factor in the battery costs plus the system controller if you want backup. Incentives, especially the 30% federal tax credit, are critical for bringing the price down.
Don't forget state and local incentives, too.
Absolutely. 5, it's got smart features like Storm Guard and detailed app control, plus VPP potential. And finally, 6, user feedback online is largely positive, highlighting reliability and performance.
That's a great summary. It paints a picture of a flexible, reliable, though potentially premium option for home energy storage.
I think that's fair.
And it really prompts a final thought for you, our listeners. Think about this. How could taking control of your home's energy with a system like ENPHASE fundamentally change your experience during power outages? It's not just about avoiding inconvenience, is it?
No, it's more than that.
It's about resilience, maybe a bit of energy independence, and contributing in a small way to a more stable grid future. It's moving beyond just keeping the lights on towards real energy empowerment.
Well said.
So if you've got more questions after this deep dive, or if you're wondering if an ENPHASE IQ battery system might be the right solution for your home, we definitely recommend reaching out to experts. The team at Integrate Sun, for example, they offer personalized consultations and can really help you figure out the specifics for your situation.
Good advice. Getting a custom quote is always the way to go.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on Solar Scoop.